A remote frozen lake high in snowy mountains. Slow push-in. Then a chilling reveal. Human skulls and bones resting in the shallow, icy water. High in the Himalayan mountains, there's a small frozen lake that hides a terrifying secret. Every summer, when the ice begins to melt, it reveals them. Hundreds of human skeletons, skulls, bones, scattered across the water and the shore. No one knows for sure who they were. No one knows exactly how they died. And the deeper scientists dig, the stranger the mystery becomes. This is Skeleton Lake, and it might be the most disturbing unsolved mystery in all of India. Map of northern India, zooming into the mountains of Uttarakhand, a glowing marker high in the Himalayas. Its real name is Roopkund. It sits in the mountains of northern India, more than 16,000 feet above sea level, so high that the air is thin and the cold is brutal. A long, difficult mountain trek, steep trails, snow, no roads, no villages for miles. There are no roads here. To reach the lake, you have to trek for days through some of the most punishing terrain on the planet. There's no village nearby, no town, nothing but rock, ice, and silence. The small, unremarkable lake from a distance. It's the kind of place where you'd expect to find absolutely no one, which is exactly why what was discovered here makes no sense. The story really begins in 1942. A forest ranger was patrolling this remote area when he came across the frozen lake. The ranger, stopping, staring down at the water, his expression turning to horror. And what he saw stopped him cold. Beneath the clear ice and along the edges of the lake were bones. Not a few, not a dozen. Hundreds of human skeletons. Slow pan across scattered skulls and bones in the shallow water. At first, there were dark theories. Some thought they might be the remains of soldiers, maybe a lost army or victims of war. The world was in the middle of a global conflict at the time, and people feared the worst. Investigators arriving, examining the bones, taking notes. But when experts began to study the remains, they realized these bones weren't recent at all. They were old, centuries old. And that's when the real mystery began. Wide shot showing the sheer number of remains scattered around the lake. Let's talk about the scale of this, because it's hard to imagine. Estimates suggest the remains of several hundred people lie in and around this single small lake. By some counts, possibly up to several hundred individuals. Men and women, people of different ages. Close-ups of preserved items, fragments of leather, jewelry, remains of belongings. And it wasn't just bones. Over the years, researchers also found preserved items alongside the skeletons, bits of leather, ornaments, and other personal belongings. The thin, cold mountain air had helped preserve some remains for centuries. A scientist holding a skull up to the light, examining a strange injury. So the questions piled up. Who travels to one of the most dangerous, remote spots in the Himalayas by the hundreds? And what could possibly kill that many people, all in the same place? Text overlay. Hundreds of people. One frozen lake. No clear answer. For decades, no one had a convincing answer. Scientists in a modern lab examining the skulls under bright lights, measuring fractures. Then, in the early 2000s, a team of researchers took a closer look at the skulls, and they noticed something chilling. Close-up animation highlighting rounded, cracked injuries on the tops of skulls. Many of the skulls had similar injuries, short, deep cracks, mostly on the top of the head and the shoulders, not on the arms or lower body, as you'd expect from a fight or a fall. The wounds came from above, from something round, falling from the sky with tremendous force. A violent storm rolling in over the mountains, massive hailstones beginning to fall. This led to a haunting theory that these people were caught in the open with no shelter for miles when a sudden and brutal hailstorm struck. Hailstones the size of cricket balls hammering down from the sky with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Reconstruction, figures trying to shield themselves, collapsing in the storm. It was a terrifying image. An entire group of travelers trapped and killed by the mountain itself. For years, this was the leading explanation. The case seemed close to solved. A pause, the music shifting. But it wasn't. Because modern science was about to turn the entire mystery upside down.
A high-tech genetics lab, DNA strands glowing, data scrolling across screens. A few years ago, a large international team of scientists did something no one had done before. They studied the ancient DNA from dozens of the skeletons. And what they found shocked even them. The skeletons separating on screen into different colored groups. The first surprise? These people did not all die at the same time. The remains came from different groups and from completely different time periods, separated by roughly 1,000 years. So the idea that one single storm killed everyone all at once, that couldn't be the whole story. A glowing world map. A line stretches from India all the way to the eastern Mediterranean. But the second surprise was even more bizarre. While many of the remains belonged to people with South Asian ancestry, as you'd expect, one group of individuals had ancestry that traced thousands of miles away to the eastern Mediterranean, places like Greece. Text overlay. What were they doing here? Think about that. People whose roots lay near the Mediterranean Sea, found dead centuries ago at a frozen lake high in the Indian Himalayas. How did they get there? Why did they come? What were they doing in one of the most remote places on Earth? Researchers staring at their data, baffled. Science gave us answers we never expected, and in doing so, created a brand new mystery. A traditional painting style, a royal procession climbing the mountains, a goddess watching from above. The people who live in the regions near these mountains have their own explanation, one passed down through folk songs for generations. The procession growing arrogant, celebrating loudly on the sacred slopes. According to local legend, a king and queen, along with a large group of attendants, once journeyed across these sacred mountains. But they behaved disrespectfully on holy ground and angered a powerful mountain goddess. The sky darkening, a storm of iron-hard hail crashing down, the procession scattering. In her fury, the legend says, she sent down a storm of hail as hard as iron, striking them all down where they stood. For centuries, this was just a story sung in the villages. But strangely, it echoes what scientists later found in those skulls. The quiet lake today, bones still resting beneath the surface. And yet, even now, the full truth stays out of reach. Who were all these people, really? Why did so many come to this deadly place across so many centuries? What drew Mediterranean travelers to a frozen Himalayan lake? We still don't know.
Slow aerial pullback from the lake, surrounded by endless mountains, haunting music. Skeleton Lake is a place where history, science, and legend all collide, and none of them can give us the whole answer. Hundreds of people from different lands and different centuries, all meeting their end at the same lonely lake in the clouds. And the mountains, as always, keep their secrets. Subscribe button animation, channel logo. What do you think happened at Skeleton Lake? Tell me your theory in the comments. And if mysteries like this give you chills, subscribe to Mysteries of India, because there are many more secrets still frozen in time. I'll see you in the next one.